Hello to all of you, each and every one of you present here today. Thank you for sharing this afternoon, despite your very busy schedules, with all of us. Welcome to this very special webinar interactive session between Godrej Interio Education as well as ScooNews. I am Colonel Shekhar, your moderator for the next 45 minutes. And this is a topic which is front and center for all of us. And this is a topic which we can go on for the next 24 hours and still may not come to some of the solutions. When we talk about black swan events, this is one. I've always believed when the writer Ramachandra Guha said that 1984 was independent India's worst year. Operation Blue Star, the assassination of Indira Gandhi, the anti-Sikh riots, and the Bhopal gas tragedy. Today, Mr. Guha himself talks about the last year plus as amongst or perhaps India's most difficult year over the last 100 years. Right. Setting the scene for this discussion today, we have a star ensemble of speakers. The less I speak, the better you will be able to understand them and their views. So without wasting any time, let me start off with each and every one of you. Can I have the panelists on video, please? Hello to all of you.
Hi, how are you?
That's great. All of us are bright and cheerful. Right. Let me now introduce each one of you, and with slightly different way. We are talking about children, we are talking about pandemic, we are talking about home. Let me make it slightly more personal. Lina Asher, what is your most evocative childhood memory?
The time I opened the back door of my garden in Australia and I saw a butterfly is the first time I felt a spiritual awakening. That's
wonderful. Spiritual awakening. Wow. Siddharth, speaking to us from Nasik, chief learner with the DPS group. What is your unforgettable childhood memory?
Being on the cricket field and batting.
And batting, not bowling. Yes. And this is the right time to talk to the spouse of one of India's most articulate cricketers, one of India's most memorable wins he fashioned. Fatima Agarkar, your most unforgettable memory?
Actually bunking a sports day to read my favorite book.
Wow.
Sportsman's Wife.
See the three different responses, and just about the right time to get Dr. Reena, the ergonomist. Did you start thinking ergonomically when you were 4, or is it different?
No, if I take it on a lighter note, I'm basically an occupational therapist and ergonomist, but I always used to look at my teacher. Like I always used to wonder, wow, my teacher is so great. Like whenever she's teaching, she's always with a stick, please seedha baitho, aise mat baitho, waise mat baitho. And today I am here as an ergonomist teaching parents and teachers that how you need to teach kids to sit straight.
Right. So now from where Dr. Reena talks about occupational therapy and being an ergonomist, now to Dubai, to the person who will make us all psychologically fit. Chandni Bhagat, what are your initial thoughts hearing the other 4 panelists?
No, I think it's really sweet that all of them had these answers and these moments ready. I think the butterfly story is wonderful from Mrs. Lina Ashar, and even the she just said the same thing, watching teachers teach, and now she herself is teaching. It's really wonderful. I think what gets ingrained before 6 years in our mind stays with us through adulthood, right? So somehow we gravitate towards that as we grow older, even if it's not consciously.
Good. True. So last year and a half, what is the biggest, in one sentence, the challenge you are facing? Chandni Bhagat.
Oh, me. In terms of children, right? I think the biggest challenge is keeping them home and online schooling, constant screen time, no outdoor play.
Don't cover all of them, otherwise I'll lose my job. Okay, great. We have started off well. There is a smile around. So therefore, setting the scene as to what is happening around is perhaps the easiest thing to do. This is one pandemic which has made everyone come on the same space, at least in certain areas. So let's not go talking about it. So we'll just take initial thoughts as to how the pandemic has affected you as a professional, the organization you are part of, and what you have done. We'll take 2 minutes and I'll start with Lena Asher. 2 minutes starting now. What have you done?
So I think I was fortunate. Everyone says I'm a visionary. I sold my school company over 4 years ago. I sort of saw that the next trend in learning is going to be online. It happened after I attended a course with Peter Demendis at Singularity University. So I actually have had no challenges, and I've used all of this time to put content together for my new platform.
You are making us jealous deliberately.
I'm really sorry.
Yeah, please continue.
Life has just kind of worked out so well for me. I mean, touch wood.
More power to you. More power to you. Please go ahead.
So we're just about to launch our online platform, which will address the needs of parents, teachers, and children. But the difference is, I think one of the things the pandemic has woken us up to is that we need less math, science, history, geography, and we need more resilience, agility, self-awareness. So the platform will lean more towards mind muscles and the correct habits of mind and values and how to build the right habits, and less about math, science, history, geography.
How do we get values done online, Lena Asher? I've always been slightly puzzled coming with my armed forces background. Values online? Just a short update on that.
So once you see, the problem is that kids actually never think about their values. We start thinking about our values when we're adults. And the thing is, we can consciously choose what values we want to have. So with younger children, through storytelling, we get them to with which values are they identifying with as far as the characters are concerned. You know, is it honesty? Is it courage? Is it creativity? Is it peace? And also to get them to understand that our values keep changing as we grow older. Today, yes, peace is one of the highest things on my value system, which is why I'm so happy I sold the schools, because I wouldn't have, it would have been too stressful to run schools at this point in time. So your values change as you grow older and you prioritize things differently. But there's lots of ways you can teach kids values online. In fact, we've got an online tool that takes kids through a step-by-step process of coming to an understanding of what their values are.
Right. Great. So 2 things: how you are establishing something new. You are stress-free. Siddharth is running schools. How much stress are you under? What are the challenges you have faced? Do you agree with Lena? And have they been decidedly different for you?
To a lot of extent, I completely agree with what Lena has to say. I like challenges and I love challenges. So I'm really enjoying the work that I'm doing right now. I think, the pandemic has really, especially for me and for the schools that I'm heading, the pandemic has really transformed us into a learning organization. And I think that's been a great transformation for us. We have, evolved over throughout the last one and a half years. We have embraced technology. We have understood that the importance of the habits of mind and, how are those things really ingrained and so important in the schooling scenario. And I'm totally in line with what Lena has to share, that schools need to invest a lot of time and money into practices of mindfulness, into well-being of students, into giving them platforms where they can share their vulnerability, where they can share what they're feeling. So yes, I think the pandemic has brought in a great shift and for the positive. But I'm finding this challenge fun, and I'm really enjoying this. I'm really, out there, hands-on with the students, and I'm, learning every day in that experience.
Great. So That's the right time to get to Fatima Agarkar. You are involved heavily in early childhood education. And there have been significant challenges there. So just take a panoramic view. How has it been and what are the best practices you can share with us? Fatima Agarkar.
Thanks so much. So, of course, early childhood education is something very close to heart because, like the NAP talks about it, it is the foundation. I mean, honestly, if that brick is not laid correctly, that building will fall. Finally, after years and years of fighting governments, it's earned its place. Unfortunately, parents invest, Siddhartha and Leena, more in higher education. I'm a middle schooler's mom. Well, he's actually high schooler now. In that or higher education, as opposed to thinking about the foundation being correct. It's a challenge. I will not lie. The truth is, the evidence that we have gathered or curated with the research that we've done as an organization is that learning was staggered. Okay, it was progressive schools, and there were inabilities, like Leena mentioned. I think the key is building capacities and capabilities. If this is our new normal, I mean, it was the 1800s when technology was created. It became blended learning was dated back then. Only in 2000 did progressive schools worldwide embrace it. India didn't. We spoke about it in conferences. We didn't understand the relevance of incorporating it. Technology is a big part of it. I'm sorry, parents listening to us. I know Unimo moms are in attendance. Please understand, screen time today is not glare. It's not affecting your child's eyesight.
Fatima, we'll come to that. We'll discuss that head on.
Yes, but so to tell you some of the good things that you can do, we spoke about, what progressive schools have done. Incorporate talk time, incorporate conversational skills. It's not about ABC, it's not about math, it's not about science, like Leena mentioned. It's about connecting emotionally and evoking a thought. It takes a lot of skill to be able to do that. Of course, it's harder, it's easier to teach concepts as opposed to have conversations. Progressive schools have done this and incorporate a lot of, sport, drama, music, storytelling, as opposed to a class on phonics. Great. So progressive schools have done
progressive schools. Quick 10-second, one best practice, Leena Asher, you have done.
In terms of online education with kids,
yes,
still made it active learning. So
active learning.
Yeah, okay. It can't be passive. You've got tools and ways to make it active.
Okay, Fatima Agarkar, one thing which you would recommend.
Actually have a lot of offline activities. So like
have
Leena mentioned,
offline activities,
yeah, and then bring them back to have the conversation and share experiences.
Right, conversation, interaction, the key. Siddharth Rajgaria.
One thing that I have done that it's been a lot of value for us. We invite a mindfulness bell every class. So every class for the first 1 to 2 minutes, we invite a bell, and all of us in the classroom, the teacher, the students, all of us come to the present moment and just enjoy that moment so that everyone knows that now there's something different starting up.
Good, great. So wonderful answers. Now coming to the psychologist who, what do you make of whatever you have heard, and does it match with what your profession, you are the busiest person in the world these days? The people who are going to make lots of money are psychologists and ophthalmologists. I earlier on added gynecologists that I have lost out badly. So these two guys are making a lot of money. Chandni Bhagat, quick take.
So I think online education is something that needs to be talked about more. And it's not important that school has to be only in a classroom physically. A hybrid version of education is something that will change in the future, whether it starts in India 5 years from now or 10 years, but it will change. I don't think colleges are going to have the kind of demand that they held in the last 2 decades or 3 decades. So definitely, I think what Leena Asher said, that she's done the switch earlier on this year, a few years ago, was the smartest thing. There are a lot of times that we feel our kids don't need to go to college physically. They don't need to go to America and study there. They can do all of that from wherever they are, have jobs, learn on their jobs, get practical experience as well.
Okay.
So I think that's amazing that all these professionals who are here today are thinking in that direction themselves.
Okay, right, great. So now to Dr. Reena, the ergonomist, the person who is going to transform learning through space management. What does research say? What are the research Godrej has done and what does it say? Because I hear a lot of parents coming back. My son is online for 6 hours, 12 hours. I'm canceling this, I'm doing that. This is something which all of us are familiar with. Fatima has already planted a red flag by saying, come on, let's attack it straight away. So what can you do to make this better? What's your take?
See, as an organization, first of all, I would like to express that our gratitude to contribute, because through workplace research, we were able to understand the pain points, challenges, and at the same time offer certain right solutions at the right time, which is helping a lot of people in terms of office spaces, in terms of young students and parents while they are engaging from their home spaces. So one thing I am definitely would like to express the gratitude. And secondly, about the research, if I would like to contribute is, see, no doubt home environment is safe, and it's very comfortable to learn, where parents are they have their peace of mind, but at the same time they are equally concerned about the increased screen time, the reduced physical activity, and the kind of postures kids are making, which is contributing to a lot of health challenges. So that is what I will be sharing going forward, that okay, how we can make certain changes.
How we can make certain changes.
Yes.
Leena Asher, EdTech. We always talk about the nuclear bomb and say good or bad. We say a lot of things. How can you learn to swim online only? How can you do a root canal through online? So it's provocative. How does EdTech impact?
So one day you will not need a human intervention to do root canal. It'll be done by technology. But I think we firstly have to see EdTech as a gift. And if we all shift that in our minds, it shifts the way we approach it. It's going to allow us to move away from standardization. It's going to allow us to move towards personalized learning. It's going to increase economic equality across. I mean, today, 10% of India owns 80% of its wealth. It's just not sustainable, that sort of tilt. The challenge we are all facing now is just a learning curve. It happened when the printed book came into existence. Everyone thought it's going to take away our kids' memories. But once we get past that learning curve, the future of learning is really, really exciting. We're going to do so many wonderful things. Kids are going to be more creative, more innovative because of technology. I know there's a lot of questions right now about, kids being addicted to screens, etc. But it's just part of a learning curve. I mean, I don't know about you, Kanashaka, but when Netflix first came in, I was binge watching. And then I got really, really satiated and I've gone back to balance. So that's going to happen to everything, the way, whether it's social media or anything else. We can choose to think of it as addictive, or we can actually teach our kids about, the hooks that they have.
Spans don't matter. I found that, tech evangelists do tend to go overboard, but just to put it in perspective, are we not finding a certain loss of attention spans amongst children?
No, you're getting more attention span. When you're doing online classes, you're actually getting better results and more attention than not. And then, I think a few people have said that there's important things you do, like the bell that was mentioned. If every 20 minutes, there's an automatic bell that goes off and everyone does like a 5-minute dance or does some planks or some sit-ups or something like that, or does something that's away from the screen, then it's wonderful. We need to get kids to understand that technology is not only about screen time for learning or Netflix. It's for meditation, it's for creative visualization. So there's a lot of things that can be done, you know. And as Fatima said, if you do it intelligently, you know, so if Fatima in her world of early childhood learning, someone like her would possibly do, you know, if you're teaching kids sink and float, she'd say, every kid go out and get 10 objects, and kids would run off, get 10 objects. So they're moving, they're coming back to the screen, then they've got the 10 objects, and she says, okay, everyone have a bucket of water, and now take each one and, you know, do a sink and float, and then come back on screen and talk about which things sink and things float and why it's possibly like that. And you in fact get more attention, you get more understanding, greater understanding. So as I said, as long as we're not using technology as a one-way traffic to sort of put knowledge into our heads, as long as we use it interactively, I think it's going to be fabulous. It's going to be more active than in the classroom.
Okay. Fabulous, more active. You cannot have a better tech evangelist than Leena Asher. Fatima Agarkar, do you agree with her? I see a lot of times you agreeing to that. So that means schools are passé. 10 years from now, only online schools?
Not a simple answer. I still believe in the social interaction. We're emotional people. We're social animals. We need that interaction. Okay, I have been just told that all the bungalows in Alibag, Goa, Khandala, whichever outstation is out there has been booked because lockdown, it's unlockdown time. So we will need that brick and mortar eventually. But I think, like Leena pointed out, we have to think about the future. Okay, we cannot be thinking about 2030. We have to think about 2080. These are going to be creatures that are going to look at an IBM Watson app and predict whether it's a viral infection or it's a bacterial infection. I mean, that's the degree of, efficiency or efficacy, if I may. So some of these functions are going to be replaced. I love what Leena said. It's about creativity. It's about using technology to give us deeper thoughts. It's about personalization. It's about understanding that Fatima does not listen to everything Shekhar has spoken. Fatima needs, a visual. She can't listen that well. It's about customization. It's about then working with every child's ability and leading to success. Standardization is passé. Sorry to say, in the physical world, standardization was our bane. The virtual world has allowed us a beautiful opportunity to customize, to personalize. I believe in blended learning like Leena. This is there. Technology is there. I have a 15-year-old. He uses technology. He's on esports. He actually represents. So we have to think about the future. We cannot be just thinking about getting through this pandemic. And I think Godrej's white paper has beautifully pointed out statistics, which every parent should read, about the blend. I think we have to focus. Nothing is ideal, but we have to think about the future and we have to plan.
So think about the blend and we come to the white paper. Oh, Chandni Bhagat, if you have listened to all of this, do you agree? I'm not going to share my personal views, but I'm quite clearly opposing it for the purpose of a certain amount of balance. Online nirvana, 2045, we are going to have tablets which will keep us alive for 120 years, 22nd century students. What's your take as a psychologist?
I don't think they both said right now, online education is going to be super important. Like Fatima just clearly said, a lot of it will have to do with customizing. I don't think it's going to be a one size fits all.
I'm asking you as a psychologist, how do the children perceive it and how do you look at it?
So you're asking me, how do children perceive online education?
How are they perceiving it now based on your experience?
Yeah, so according to age groups and according to children's personalities, different children have different reactions to online schooling. Like a child who's really fidgety, who can't focus on a screen, won't be able to sit for 6 hours of online education. Absolutely no. A child who kind of is a lot calmer, who is okay with being alone in a room and looking at a screen, he will be much more open to it. I don't think in the long run, solo online education is something that's going to work. Like Fatima said, brick and mortar is important as well. I definitely do believe in the foundation of like a soccer class or football class where they learn to play together, building team spirit, social coordination. And that's what children want as well. Like if you put a child with 5 other kids and that child sees others eating, 90% of the times that child will eat. That's the role of socializing for kids.
Socializing, fair. We'll come to that socializing part a little bit better. Siddharth, you've heard the three ladies. Do you believe that in 10 years from now, you will have a school which is completely online? Is it only 5 years, 7?
So, we've had the pandemic, we've had the cold and flu, and now we've had the corona. For both of them, they are, I might not be technically right, but they are of the same family, but you have such different medicines, right? So similarly, I would say with the pandemic in place, the school cannot remain same going further, right? So, and you cannot have like a tweak and okay, things are back to normal. That's not how it's going to be. So in the long run, how do I look at schools? A school is actually, a school can be looked at the way students are grouped, the way teachers are grouped, the way the timing is done. And we actually need to really relook at all these parts of the school and maybe be more flexible, like what Fatima said,
parts of the school,
bring in a lot of blending.
Right.
Bring in a lot of blending, bring in a lot of personalization. I think that's the way ahead. Yes.
Personalization, blending, flexible, relook at it. Right. Now let's head to, yes, you're saying something.
May I just add something very quickly?
Yeah, please do so.
Brick and mortar doesn't have to be a school. One of the things I think we have,
absolutely,
we're not seeing is that, before the pandemic, kids spent 3 to 4 hours on a school bus every day. That's a big loss of time in childhood. So we have to rethink learning spaces, but they don't have to be brick and mortar schools.
Right. I even believe that schools which are there over the weekend, whichever buildings are there will function as Amazon warehouse places over the weekend. And on a Monday, you will have a sale. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, optional physical classes. Friday, you will come to play. So that's my thinking. We leave it aside because as a moderator, I'm not supposed to agree with everything you guys say.
You're not agreeing with anything we're saying.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
But honestly, this culture of 4 and 5-year-olds taking 1.5 hours school buses one way, I think that definitely needs to change as a standardized thing. Then the choice is on kids.
The neighborhood school, and that is a much larger question, Chandni. We talk about access, equity, lots of stuff. If I get into it, Godrej will get very annoyed with me for sure. Dr. Reena Valecha, you have Fatima has wonderfully brought about what does the research say, and beyond that, how are you offering optimized products, and what is the way for what have you learned and what are your options?
See, more than products or options, I would like to just emphasize on what Chandni rightly said, that just online schooling, there is one thing which is missing is human interaction. And at an early growth where you need a lot of interaction for social development, if that is missing, so it can definitely affect in a larger way on a mental well-being of a growing kid. Similarly, when we are talking, like Fatima and Leena rightly said, that they are thinking of technologies where they can make the technology more interactive, where they can involve mentally as well as physically the children. But at the same time, if we understand, our Indian houses are not well equipped with the virtual learning environment. Like before the pandemic set in, maybe the kind of infrastructure the houses had, maybe their kids use, some houses might have a proper study table and chair, but majority of them, like even in my setup, I have seen that they either sit on a dining table, they sit on a sofa or on a floor to do their homework. But they never thought that they, using laptops or smartphone or a desktop will be a primary mode of learning going forward, considering the pandemic situation. So when the situation is, when we are putting in so much efforts to engage in technology, to, create a lot of diversification, gamification, it's equally important that we ensure the right work study setup is being taken care of. Because otherwise what will happen, kids will be glued for a long period of time. And if the environment is not proper, like for example, if they sit in free spaces, they are bound to sit in unnatural postures, which can affect their physical well-being. So we need to holistically, like if the technology is boon, somewhere it has its own side effects as well. I think you're mute. Yeah.
I've got myself muted. Yeah, my apologies. So we are talking about posture, physical, all kinds of things. Now we'll go back to the core issue wherein I would expect Chandni to give an overview. First to Siddharth, how do you volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous world where there is negativity, distrust, fear, and of course panic. And I've seen it happen at every place. 70% of your teachers from my initial study have had direct impact of corona. The students have had their family members. How do you take care of their well-being? This is a question for the hardcore educators. How have you done it and what can you share with us?
So, everybody is talking about here that, we are social people. And I think in these difficult times, that is really, really important that we have that dialogue going, right? So I'll share a small thing. I came across this beautiful social media post wherein there was a jar of water and there were a few glasses. So if you look at the jar of water as the teacher, and if the jar of water is empty, there's no water in the jar, the glasses cannot be filled. And if the jar of water is full of water, then the teacher, who is the jar of water, can pour water into the glasses. And that's how, I've looked at, doing a lot of these discussions with students and teachers to make sure that their well-being is there. We've really focused on the teacher well-being. We've created a lot of space for dialogue with teachers. We've in my schools, we have this beautiful mindfulness sangha within our teacher communities, and we do a lot of these circle sharing activities where they're able to share what they're feeling at those moments.
Right.
Another beautiful initiative that we've done, we've put in students in groups of 20, and these are buddy groups, right? So they meet every fortnight, and the agenda is shared by them, what is going to be discussed. One person leads the meet, and they take over the whole show. And we are trying to create these social spaces within the online space such that children can speak up, children can share their thoughts. And I think that is very, very important in this discussion.
Right, great. We have over 70 questions. We'll come to that. Fatima Agarkar, you have done a lot of admirable work in the early childhood space. And some of the most difficult is keeping these children's well-being. What are the 2 or 3 things you have successfully worked out and what you can share with us?
Honestly, it is about orienting parents, because at this, the cohort that we're talking about is still a dependent. Like Leena pointed out, each age group has its specific nuances, okay? So we have to be very honest. Early childhood is about dependency. It gets easier as you go forward, easier, difficult, debatable question, another debate.
Easier. Talk to teenager parents. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so the dependency bit means that it's the parents that have to have structure, routine, discipline. I hate when parents tell me, lekin this is temporary, yeah, Fatima, this online, na, are 1 saal ho gaya hai, it's been 15 months, you're going to see the next 18 months also virtually. What is not permanent in your life? For me, permanency is the next 3 months. I don't even know what will happen after 3 months. So structure, routine, discipline. Sorry, Leena, I think you're going to agree with me because you've done a lot of research there. Indian children don't sleep enough. They don't sleep at 7:30, which it should be bedtime. I don't know any family except for mine that will have the kid in bed at 7:30. Of course, it's negotiable once they grow older, but sorry, you can't feed the children through the day. There are meal times. So there's structure, routine, discipline. I'm a sportsman's wife. I'm just going to say this has to be incorporated. All the right elements come in when you have that with early childhood. If that is all you can do, parents, honestly, all the learning and all the profound things that you want your children, all your coding and all, your statistical analysis will come in because they're more receptive.
Wonderful. Great.
It has to be a base.
Yeah,
for them
we have 1,000 people listening to us, teachers. We have come to the upper end of this webinar in terms of numbers. If you have one message for the parents, somebody as a hardcore educator, what would it be for the next 3 months?
Are you asking me?
No, Fatima, I'll come back to you. You have a different question for yeah.
Lower your expectations. I just think as a country, we're super competitive. We want to achieve everything. We're going through extraordinary times. Just be realistic about what is lying ahead. Sorry, but please don't compare your kids. It's a very Indian thing. Uske school mein ye kiya, mere school ne nahi kiya. That means my school is wrong. That school is fine. Then we change the school. And then we go there and realize, no, that school was better. Stop doing that. Have a dialogue, like I think Siddharth mentioned, engage with the school. There has to be a trust factor. Colonel, I just find this country not trusting conversations.
You are getting into dangerous territory when you talk to me regarding trust. You won't get into it. Yeah.
Third thing. Yeah. You know what, guys, we will all get through it. Leena has mentioned it. Mindfulness is going to be important. Guys, it's not a perfect world. Just work with the variables that you have, create solutions and get out of it. And be happy. Humor works. Please use that a lot.
Be happy. So great. Just the right time to get in, Leena, Asher. And we are focusing on children. I want you to much more focus on teachers and leaders' well-being. I have the real issue where the principal and his wife got COVID. He could not attend his own daughter's wedding. 50 to 60% of his teachers have had COVID. And one teacher asked me bluntly, I have lost my father-in-law, I have lost my nephew. You want me to be positive? Take a hike, Colonel Shekhar. How do we do it? And what are you doing to get it right? Leena, Asher.
So we can only control what we can control, and we can't control what we can't control. So with the moonshot conversations I did was my attempt at reaching out to people around, getting over and getting through the pandemic. So I understand what you're saying. A lot of this is going to be called the COVID generation. I had to race to Australia. It was huge. To come back is huge. My mom's really sick. Whether my brothers will see her before, while she's alive is a big question. I've got friends in Australia who've lost parents here. It's happening all around the world that you're not even able to get to someone who's dying, right? And who's your parent, and what could be more painful than that? But the fact is that when we are faced with a situation that we don't like, we actually only have 3 choices. One is that person is taking a choice and will suffer. The second is to change your circumstances. And with the pandemic, there's nothing we can do to change our circumstances really, other than, put some green in our home and do things that kind of lift us, listen to music, do things that lift us up. The third and the only other possibility is to change what it means to you. So we have to change the story. And, Moonshot Conversations was my reach out to parents and teachers to say, we have to change the way our thoughts, our beliefs, our story, and our language. If you ask kids how they're feeling about this, you'll have one set of kids saying, I'm overwhelmed, I'm annoyed, I'm this, it'll be all negative. And then you have another lot of kids who are saying, I'm overcoming. I'm peaceful. I'm working it out. So a lot of this language is actually based on how their parents feel about this. So, we have to change as adults. We have to change and say, this is what I can control. This is what I can't control. And for the bits that I can't control, I actually only have these 3 choices.
Oh, great. I think it's a very It's an answer which is a very grounded answer for all the Angrezi. Otherwise, we speak about control the controllables from where we start off. Chandni Bhagat, taking it to you. Students are feeling socially, emotionally, and maybe even culturally suffocated. They are going in different directions. Hello, Chandni, are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you repeat
Yeah,
your
right.
question for me? Yeah.
Yeah. So the question is, how do we get it better? What is your advice to all of us and the parents and every teacher who's listening? That's the most common question I see.
What is the
Socio-emotional development of the child. From the 102 we are seeing, some of them Fatima and Leena have answered. How is it? There's a big question, plenty on teachers, etc. We'll try and focus on a few. Chandni Bhagat.
Sorry, so you want me to answer how are the children dealing with it?
I want you to improve upon it. How better can we have socially, emotionally more balanced children within the controllables Leena Asher pointed out?
So basically, right now, the situation is that our kids, A, are more resilient than we give them credit for. B, we have to organize their days. I think a lot of parents have lost sense of control, organizing, and structure through their children's day. Like Fatima said, but my kids sleep at 7:30 p.m. and my older one is 6.5. While that's inconvenient when you have a birthday or something like that, because we live in Dubai and things are still pretty normal here. In India, I know kids who go to bed at 10:30 and 11 and 12 even, and it's normal, right? Now, while each parent has their own parenting style, that's fine, but children need rest. They need a routine, they need structure, which is where the child feels happy and satisfied at the end of their day. They know, okay, 7 p.m. is dinner, 7:15 is my bath, 7:30 mom's going to tuck me into bed with a story and I have to go to sleep. But if kids are allowed to watch TV for like 8 hours a day, with no structure even in that, that's the problem. The problem is not the screen. The problem is how controlled is the screen, what are they watching on the screen, and how is your relation to the screen. I don't think the screen is our kids' enemy anymore. So these are some ways. The third thing you have to do is boost your child's egos, boost their confidence. Even if they're throwing a tantrum, don't resort to losing your cool. Take 5 minutes out, give them a timeout, sit down, talk to them, distract them with a toy. There are tons of coping strategies right now because believe me, obviously, if our kids have been cooped up from last maybe March to now, which is we're almost at July. It's literally been 15 months of no birthdays, no normal life. How do you think our kids are going to handle it? So we have to respect the situation in which it is right now, and very likely for the next 9 months, this is going to continue. So to help them build it up, create your own bubbles, have 3 to 5 friends who your kids can meet, go for play dates, do all of that with, take a trip to like Alibag, Khandala, wherever with your child where they can run and play outdoors. And after all of that, talk and communicate with your children. I can't specify or stress enough about communication.
Communicate, fair enough. So you have covered it to that extent. Dr. Reena, you have heard everyone.
Yes.
What do you offer? How can you make our home, our student life, everything better? What is your offer?
One thing definitely I would like to add as a tip, which where parents and teachers can actually, look at including them, is to cope up with the missing sensory diet in their routine. Where we are trying to educate them about, including so many activities in their routine, structure their routine, technology, screen, so many things. But there is very important thing which is missing, which is play. Why when we play, when kids run, when they jump, when they do certain activities, there is stimulation of senses, which is your joint proprioception, vestibular sensation. Even when they write, like for example, you make your students, rather than using a keyboard or a smartphone continuously, make them write something, give them a topic, and tell them, okay, what do you think, write a story about it. So there is a mind body connection, and there is an where parents can engage in their hand muscles, which kids are missing out developing because of continuous usage of smart gadgets. Second is maybe, a very important concept of learning environment and sensory diet is create an environment which mimics outdoor. see to it that your study space is well ventilated.
In 600 square feet, 800 square feet, the time and space, how are you able to do that? We have our challenges. You have a father, a mother in many cases.
Exactly.
The mother-in-law, father-in-law, everyone it is. How do you do that?
So in that case, as I earlier also said in my interaction, that Indian houses are not actually well equipped with the right infrastructure. So maybe, like, for example, if the kid has the option to sit on a bed or on a sofa to study or take online classes, maybe you can make that space slightly ergonomic for them. Maybe by using a coffee table or some small bench where they can put their laptop, and it is at least their legs are free, their back is well supported, and it is in line with their the monitor screen. So at least some modification is very
modification.
Important.
Okay, yes. A provocative question. When is Godrej ergonomically coming up with its geo manifestation?
Sorry, geo manifestation.
How geo just got the market in terms of getting your mobiles and
okay.
So what are you going to do? When are you going to give us your 1 rupee sachets?
I don't know about that plan, but definitely I will tell you one thing. One way which we will create as an organization is we'll come to the point that parents, educators, and even anyone who is teaching, but they are aware about the basics of concepts of right preventive techniques, because even when we learn about these simple preventive techniques of sensation, ergonomic postures, including play, which can take care of their physical and mental well-being, believe me, a lot of things can be taken care of.
A lot of things can be taken care of. We are coming to the last 2 questions. So this is first to the educators. One inspiring thing you can share with us which moved you last 12 months. Siddharth Rajgaria first.
So I believe
one incident in your school which you can share with us, which made you think that this is going in a very different positive direction.
So the last 12-15 months has made me realize how resilient teachers are. It's made me realize, and all of us, I believe it made all of us realize that no teacher, and I repeat, no teacher came to the profession with the intention to do wrong, right? Every teacher entered the profession to make things happen. Every teacher entered the profession to give something, They did not enter the profession to take, right? It's the circumstances over the years that has, made it different and difficult for the teachers. So I think
teacher resilience is your take, Fatima Agarkar. The one thing evocative.
I think, I'm just going to take off from what Siddharth said. I'm just very impressed by the fact that the teacher is now able to understand every child in that classroom, which in a physical world did not happen, simply because I've had teachers who've gone back to the recording and figured out only 4 kids are answering through the week. In a physical world, it just skips you.
Teacher improve
super. And you know what? Enhanced student performance. So those C graders have become A graders. And for me, that's been inspiring thanks to the teacher.
Yeah, so that's where students and teachers are more aware and more performing. So that I'll come back to you. I have 120 seconds only. Leena Asher.
I think the most inspiring thing I found out last year is this guy called Shai Rashif, who's building a university for 1 million students. And I think that's going to be the big changer as far as all of our kids are concerned. It's going to be a game changer as far as standardized assessments and testings and board exams and everything's concerned. I think that's the biggest inspirational story I heard.
Yeah. Right, Chandni Bhagat.
So one of the best inspirational things I heard is that a lot of the kids in my son's age, they actually told us that they want to be homeschooled, that they have no problem with COVID, they have no problem with staying home, and they would like to be homeschooled, and it's exciting to them.
Exciting to the homeschooling. The ergonomist.
We treat it as We treat it as homeschool. Oh my God, no, no, no. But kids were actually like, oh wow, this is pretty cool because my 6-year-old is doing math of like a 10-year-old level. So that's one thing that we have to keep in mind. All kids cannot be treated in the same standardized form. So to me, that's
Right.
mind blowing that a 2-year-old who's smart can do what a 5-year-old is doing.
Fair. Dr. Reena,
So can you just repeat the question again?
my point is ergonomically, what has been the in the space you are in, something
Yeah.
which inspired you to end. We are coming to the end of it. When people think we have to go with something which is, heartwarming.
Yes, yes. So one thing which actually, motivated us, or from an ergonomics point of view, is we saw that after in a study also, more than 50% of students, they feel tired. They have no energy left to do anything. They are exhausted. 41% of them are suffering from eye problems and upper back related problems. So when right at this age, the quality of life, when at this age the suffering is so much, so we are always under the opinion that you should always start young. So we should take opportunity of this time
Right.
and educate our students
Educate
young.
us. But I
Yes.
was looking at Sukhi Atma stories. You are giving me a Dukhi Atma story.
No. I
That's
want
on
the
the
mauka
lighter
ka
side.
fayda uthana hai. You have to
That's on
educate.
the lighter
Yes,
side.
yes, yes,
Right.
yes.
Okay. Siddharth, I'll come back to you. You'll get you a time. The last round of immediate answer questions. Fatima Garkar, 2030. Your prediction for schools. One-liner.
Blended. It's going to be physical, but it's going to use technology in a way that's never been done before.
Leena, the tech evangelist, 2035 schooling.
Does not exist.
Does not exist. Siddharth Rajgaria, 100th year of India's independence, 2047. What will your school look like if it exists?
Making children embrace lifelong learning.
Embrace lifelong. You wanted to say something previous.
You had a gun to my head, so I couldn't think of
There you go.
the perfect.
Finally, on behalf of all the panelists, you have fired at me. Good enough. Chamni Bhagat. How will it be in 2047 as a psychologist?
As a psychologist, it's going to be amazing. I think people will treat a psychologist the way they treat their medical doctor. If there's a physical ailment, they don't think before going. So when there's a mental issue or like an anxiety attack, or
it's about the kids. It's about the kids.
Yeah, so kids will go to a psychologist, right?
Right. Good. Okay. Reena Valecha.
Yes. So whether it is now or what I see the future, an occupational therapist and ergonomist will be present in every school. And along with an inclusive education, even the normal students or the students today, they will be educated by the right professionals, whether it is a psychologist, occupational therapist, ergonomist, or an educationist. Yes, that is the future.
There won't be mental stigma with these kind of professions.
No, I don't feel so. Even I don't think so.
It's
Because
reduced now
only the situation. Now only the
That's
situation is very changing.
Right.
Yeah.
Good. I think I've overshot time by about 7-8 minutes. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's been an honor to be part of this discussion. And very sporting panelists it made my job that much easier. Nobody overshot time. Hopefully, my AK-47 remains where it is, despite what Siddharth threatens me with. Thank you very much to all of you, each one of you. Now, the launch of the white paper. All of you can get it downloaded. Please type this number out through, if you get it through a missed call, 86521 55550. I say it again, 86521 55550, or visit godrejinterio.com/business. I think it's put there. I would request this to be highlighted both in the Q&A and in the chat box. Right. Jen Saraf, if you are there, of Godrej, can you hear me?
Yes, Colonel. Hi.
Yes. Hello, Jen. Yes. We have had a most wonderful discussion. Thank you for organizing it. Any questions you have for any of us?
thank you, Colonel, for putting this across so well, so well. Thank you to all the panelists from behalf of Godrej Interio. Right, splendid discussion, I'll say. Thank you so much for putting this up so well.
Okay, thank you.
No questions, Colonel. Yeah.
Thank you. No more questions. Before Ravi comes in and winds it up, for all of you, the one question you wanted to ask, just as an afterthought. Chandni Bhagat first.
Question I wanted to ask who?
Anyone.
Oh, I wanted to ask Leena Ashar. Actually, I've known, and we've done a couple of panel talks, I think, before as well. I wanted to ask you why you said will not exist at all. I was really like taken aback.
Will not exist at all. I think we have a minute or so. Ravi, can this question be answered?
Oh, certainly.
Okay, certainly. Go ahead, Leena.
They won't exist in the current format they're in. You know, at the moment, it's not great. We've got very high density populations in India. Kids are on school buses. It's not healthy. We need learning pods and more playgrounds. So I'm not saying that kids will not get together, but they do not have to get together in a 1 lakh brick and mortar school.
No, but you said won't exist at all. Do you mean to say like
all the Chandni, we don't have time for a discussion on this. We're just looking at every panelist asking one question.
But you said we have 1 minute. She answered in 10 seconds. So
Shekhar sir, I just want to thank you for being a wonderful panelist. That is just the one thing I wanted to say.
Forget me. One question.
Moderator.
Ask any of the others. I'm looking at the within inverted commas, the non-educators asking the educators questions. Leena, your question for any of the panelists.
Well, for everyone, I think I'd like you to just consider, the question is, will we not see a great generation of kids when we get through this who are actually anti-fragile, who have built great muscles because of what they've experienced?
Right. I will take you up on that, but that's time for another discussion. Yes. Siddharth, your question for the ladies.
No, there will be definitely. Everybody will have a COVID story to tell. So, yes.
Everyone will have a COVID story. Right. Ravi, time to wind up? Ravi, are you there?
Yeah, he just messaged.
Said, thank you.
He just messaged. Yeah.
Okay, Ravi, back to you.
Well, thank you very much. Indeed, it was a splendid session, and Colonel Shekhar, as always, I mean, brilliant moderation. I mean, you actually, it was more like a Arnab Goswami show. I mean, I mean, as always, I always compare you with the person that you, highly unlike. But a wonderful moderation, Colonel. Thank you so much, Leena. I mean, this was amazing. I mean, I think this is more of the females panel. Thank you, Fatima, Chandni, and Reena. Siddharth, thank you so very much. And Jayant and the entire Godrej team. I mean, wonderful things. And all of you audiences, I mean, you will receive an email with all the links in the white paper and the feedback form as well. I mean, if you liked today's session, I mean, please do fill the feedback form. If you didn't like, of course, I mean, there are those options as well. And if you want to get in touch with, because I saw a lot of you asking for Fatima's and Leena's email IDs, we'll take permission from them and we'll also add the email IDs on the same feedback email. Thank you once again and have a great evening and a great weekend ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ravi.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.